Welcome back to Ideas at Work and Beyond. I am delighted to introduce everyone to Brenda Whitted and your lovely daughter, Michelle Magna. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us here.
This, as you know, is Ivan Alsami's program.
Yes.
And apparently you met Ivan at Howard University.
Yes, we were students in graduate school
You were
together.
students together.
Yes.
Can you just give us like 15 seconds on what Ivan was like at school? Was he sort of big man on campus, or what was he like?
No, I knew him here.
Oh, you knew him from here?
Yeah, from here, because I saw him, and then we looked familiar.
Oh, okay, okay.
You see, and then he recognized me from somewhere, and I recognized him too.
Okay.
And then as we spoke, we realized that we met at Howard University.
Oh.
But I had my life, and he had his life.
I see,
so we
I
may
see.
have met in the halls.
Okay.
But we recognized each other.
All right.
And
You know, and before we get into your life story, which to me is fascinating, part of your life story is you and your daughter attended college simultaneously.
That's
Yes,
true.
we did.
So how did that work out?
It was awesome.
You liked it?
Yeah, I
I had a
did.
ball.
Okay.
We would meet for lunch certain days, and we would talk about what we were studying.
Now this may be none of my business, but if your daughter had a certain gentleman friend that
She
was
knew.
pursuing her,
I knew.
you were right there.
I was right there.
So you could kind of say, hey, I don't like that guy.
I would even go with them on dates.
You really? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this might be something new you might want to do. It's not go to work with your daughter day. It's go to college with your daughter. What, 4 years?
No, we would just go we would go to like nightclubs and things like that.
Oh, you would go out at night?
Also,
with them.
yes,
We would-
yes.
they would
Party
invite
on,
me.
party on. I got to get to know you.
Go to
dude.
nightclubs.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, now we talked a little bit about this, and I want you to share with our vast television audience. You were born and raised in North Carolina, and there's a
Yes.
couple others, in a place called Hawkinstown. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I was born and raised in North Carolina. And we had a family town called Hawkinstown. And we would visit there often. And it reminded me a lot of Africa. And we had our own, everybody had the Hawkins name or a descendant of the Hawkins. And also everyone had their own, like a farm in the back, and their own church and the graveyard, and their own graveyard. What I find interesting is that when I went to Africa, I found the exact same thing.
Okay.
So my ancestors carried that tradition with them
From
over
Africa
over the centuries and over the centuries, and they still have it to today.
Okay. Okay, now you slipped in there going to Africa. So you were born and raised in North Carolina. You found sort of the echoes of what you had in Africa.
Yes.
How did you end up in Cameroon, Africa for 18 and a half years?
I went to a big reception, and I met a gentleman who was a student
A gentleman, and he was a student at Howard University.
at Georgetown.
No, at Georgetown.
I'm sorry,
University, and he
Georgetown.
went to American University.
Okay.
And so we got married and went to Africa,
So you got married to a gentleman who is African,
and went to Africa.
and you moved to Africa.
Yes.
And just, you briefly, I don't mean to make you, nervous, but tell us briefly what your life was like. Where did you buy the Mercedes? How did it get there? Just give us a few seconds on that, because I find that interesting.
Okay, we worked hard to achieve.
Right.
And he also was a hard worker. So eventually he became president of a company.
Okay.
And so we had a nice place to live, and we had family members in the same position.
Okay.
And I just happened to want a Mercedes, and I went to Belgium and bought it and shipped it back.
Belgium. Okay. So when people are envisioning your life in Africa, this isn't with the thatched roof and your, pounding,
no.
corn or
No.
something.
No.
But
No.
okay.
I had
We went to-
a house, 8 bedrooms, marble floors.
Okay.
Back.
Now, 18 years in Africa, and you were born here, but
I
you
was
were
born
raised-
here. I was raised in Cameroon
Okay.
with my parents.
Okay.
And then we spent 9 months in Cameroon and 3 months in the United States.
Pretty much
until
every year.
every year
Every year.
until
Okay.
I was 16.
Okay.
Every
Then
year.
at some point, after 18 years of living in Africa, you've decided
Take another leap of faith.
leap of faith, and you decided to move back to the States, and you're somewhere north of 29 at this point. and what did you do then? Because you really had to sort of restart your life.
Oh, I had to do a lot of. Well, I started college in January
Okay.
of '87,
Okay.
and after 1 year, I was conferred a Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Okay.
And in the meantime, my daughter was in school with me at the
All right,
same
that's
time.
when you were in
Yes.
school
Yes.
together.
Yes.
And after that, I went to. I continued and get a master's
Okay.
in fine arts.
And because she got a master's degree, I also pursued my master's degree,
Oh, okay.
also at
okay.
Howard too.
Wow.
So she was positive influence
Influence.
influence on me.
All right. Now, that's been a common theme through your whole life. Born in Hawkinstown, and talk a little bit about how you were, there was a very positive environment. And would it be too much to say it takes a village to raise a child?
That's
No,
exactly,
that's
that's exactly what it
All right,
is.
well,
That's
tell
the
us-
way
tell us a
we
little bit
grew
about
up.
that.
The very close family ties, and I would go visit everyone, and all the concepts and the value systems that were there.
Right.
My mother learned them through her parents, because her mother was Hawkins.
Okay.
And when we moved out of town, it continued. I was raised by my uncles and my aunts and everybody. I go see everybody every summer, and I was always encouraged
Okay.
to do anything. Oh, my uncle said, "Oh, you can just do anything." I said, "Yes, yes, indeed." So one day, I was in the operetta, and I was a forget-me-not flower among 10,
Okay.
and you couldn't. And I was all covered with crepe paper, so you couldn't tell who I was. So they came. Oh, and I did a little dance step, a little two-step. And I said, "You see me?" "Oh, yes, you were just most wonderful. I saw you just most wonderful." I said, "Where was I standing?" "You were there." You were there.
You were calling their bluff.
Yeah. But they just thought out, everything I did was so great. And they always told me, you can do anything. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let anyone define you. Just do your best with the gift that God gave you, and God will help you along the way.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he will show you what to do.
She
And
passed on that
bring
to me.
people in your path that will help you. And that's what I've lived by all my life.
Okay. So, looking back over your life, and you certainly have a lot of life ahead of you too. Where do you think were some of the turning points where you really had to, kind of fall back on that positive upbringing that you had?
Well, I had it in Africa, but then I left because I felt that women there don't have an identity. I had a talent,
Yeah.
and I would like to give credit for what I do, and
Yeah.
not just be the wife of the monsieur
let
director.
me just make sure I got the term right. Is it a very patriarchal society?
To
Men are
whom?
in charge, and
Yes.
the women are.
Yes, and
are not.
I'm individualist. I was always taught that because I'm from a family of strong women
Okay.
who achieve
Uh-huh.
and who are very responsible, and it was ingrained in me, and I
Right.
felt like that's something I had to do.
Okay. So you came back, and to me, the fascinating part of this story was first that, you were there for 18 and a half years, but then literally, after 18 and a half years there, you come back and you go back to college.
Oh yes,
I mean,
I
that
had
was
to.
a-
I had no record of ever working.
Okay, yes, over 18 years, you didn't have a
Record.
broad resume.
No, and I had to prepare myself for a job.
Okay.
And that's what I did.
All right, because I've done a little research on you.
Are you really?
Yes, I have. And I've got. I mean, this printout of what you've been involved with since. It's art exhibits, Black History Celebration, Howard University Diplomatic Suite Collection, your different exhibits, your different presentations, and the different jobs you held related to African studies.
Oh, yes,
and
that's-
related to African art. How did you?
Well, I have a mentor, and that's what I believe. When you take a leap of faith and you want to do your best, God will send you people. So I was sent 2 people at Howard, and one of them was a gentleman, Dr. Ansah from Ghana, and one was a Dr. Bullock from United States. She was a graphic design, which was my major, and he was African art.
Okay.
And I loved African art because I lived in Africa. So he decided that I would teach African art. He would say, "I'm going on sabbatical. You will teach African art." I said, "I will." He said, "Yes." So there, okay. So I did, and I loved it.
It was very
And
natural to
I enjoyed
you.
it, and it's natural because it's part of me.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we live there?
And I said, "Okay, now it's time to continue." I said, "Oh yes, Yale it is." I said, "Oh, that's a good idea."
So you got into Yale University.
Yes, I did.
Full
That is not
scholarship.
an easy school
No,
to
it
get
wasn't.
into.
It wasn't.
A full
Full
scholarship.
scholarship.
scholarship. Plus a
I got
stipend.
rejected.
Plus a stipend.
Wow.
Yes.
That's impressive.
In African art.
Yeah, it was
because
awesome.
it's for me, it's part of my soul, my life, and I
Yeah.
love it. Plus I'm an artist, so
All right. So,
So-
from Yale, you get your master's in African art.
Yes.
And then you've held various teaching positions.
Well, yes, well, Howard University for a year, and then I taught elementary school, and then I'm at
Okay.
Virginia State. I've been there going on 11 years.
Wow, that's
Yes.
incredible.
Yes.
What have you gleaned from being raised by this wonderful mother? What are some of the values that you've learned from her?
She taught me about the importance of family. So did my dad, the both of
Okay.
them.
Uh-huh.
That they are the backbone to your persona, who you are.
Right.
They also taught me how to, you have to, there's a name, my name is Michelle Mveng. Mveng is my last name.
Okay.
And with that comes responsibility and duty. And I have no room for embarrassing my family. So whatever it is that I do, I have to think that I'm carrying a legacy. I'm carrying my brothers, my sisters, my cousins, my mom, my dad.
Uh-huh.
So I have to act accordingly.
Okay.
She taught me also that life will knock you down. Some things that you have no control over, but it's okay. You have to fall, and you will fall.
Okay.
But you may not remain on the ground. You have to get up. And sometimes you may get up slowly,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter as long as you get up. And always have a plan B or a plan C, because plan A sometimes can, like disappear.
Yeah. Wow.
You know,
Now,
and then-
were these some of the same values that you had at Hawkinstown?
Exactly.
same values,
The
yeah.
same ones.
Yeah.
You know, I was in South Africa. Actually, I was in South Africa and spent a little time in Mozambique.
Yes.
And it really is uncanny when you meet people in Africa. Just the same sort of spirit, the same sort
Yeah.
of joy of life, the same kind of positive attitude that
Yeah.
you see in people that are born and
Yeah.
raised in Africa, don't know
Yeah.
anything about the United States.
Exactly.
But you still
Yeah.
see that reflected over here.
And that's what I think I got from Dad also, and
What's
and
that?
from you. When you face with adversities,
Uh-huh.
don't take it personally.
Yeah.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
Like if you take it too personally, then it weighs you down and you become depressed, and it
Yeah.
affects every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Things that happened,
Uh-huh.
just brush it off and move on.
Yeah, and just you
And
got
move on.
to keep going, and you
And
will
you
get
move on.
and
And
you'll-
you'd be surprised. And you'd be surprised if you just move on
Yeah.
with a free and clean spirit.
Yeah.
You see, and not tainted spirit. You'd be surprised what God has in store for you.
There's not to get too biblical on you or anything like that, but there's a verse in the Bible. It's a famous sort of love chapter, 1
Yes.
Corinthians 13. But it describes love is patient, love is kind, love is.
It is.
And one of them is love does not take into account a wrong suffered. And I guess the term is sort of an accounting term, like, "Ooh, you did that. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
going to
no.
remember that. Oh, I remember when you did that."
Yes.
Pretty soon you got this whole ledger
Yes.
do that.
of
You can't-
grievances.
Yes, you can't
and it
do
just
that.
weighs
can't do
you
that.
And
down.
it just poisons you.
You can't do
Yeah.
that.
It poisons you, and then you don't have time for that.
Yeah.
No.
The life is too short.
I heard one thing. Someone explained to me. He said, if you're angry or bitter at someone, it's kind of like drinking poison and expecting it to affect the other person.
Exactly, but it affects you.
Yeah, it does.
affects
It
you.
just
Yeah,
affects
Yes,
you.
it
I'm
affects
blessed
you.
because I got over that, and that's because I have so many people encouraging me.
Yeah.
And my new husband is one. He always encouraged me.
Yeah.
He's one of those people who think, oh, you can do anything, and oh, you just go right on. And I'm just so proud of you.
No,
and that helps.
I mean, I don't mean to snoop or anything. I'm like, because we met your husband, and now he knew you from Howard, right?
Yes, we were teenagers.
You were teenage together, and then I don't even know who this guy from Cameroon comes along, swoops you up with the Mercedes and
Yes.
servants, and that's hard to pass up. I won't.
I know, and then I came back and
And then you came back, and he was there like, where you been?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All
It's
right,
an awesome
he came
story.
in and said, all right, you
Yeah.
got that out of your system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
And you will have adversities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you will be tested as to who you are and what you're capable of doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you have some examples of your artwork here. What now? Is this pieces that you've done, or these
Yes.
are
Yes,
pieces
all of
that,
these.
I've done.
No,
I
no,
did
she-
both
she
of
did
these.
those.
This
Okay.
is when I came back. I had a lot of memories of Africa, and this is on most of my paintings.
Now you painted this.
Yes,
Yes,
she
I
did.
did.
Okay.
Most of my paintings are Afrocentric. So this is a combination of 4 places that I lived.
Okay.
I lived in Consumber,
Can you get a shot of this, by the way?
where the flowers
They come
are.
over.
I had them in my yard.
Uh huh.
I went up north to live, and I lived in a hotel just like that house, and I used to carry my daughter on my back.
Okay.
Michelle, that's the only one I carried on my
So
back.
Michelle, is that you?
Yes,
in the picture
Yes,
there?
that's
Okay.
me, Michelle.
Yes.
And then there's a waterfall called the Chute de Kong, which was near Consumber. And then the waterfall, the sky and the sunset is always beautiful in Yaoundé. So
By the way,
that's a Yaoundé
what language
sunset.
did they speak in Cameroon?
French.
French and
French.
English.
French,
French and
okay,
English.
okay.
French. So
But we were
we're all
from the French
bilingual.
part.
Okay.
Well,
Include
I'm
myself.
trilingual.
All right, and Michelle, that's a very French name, right?
Yes,
Yes,
Michelle
it
is.
is.
And then we have another one. They'll get the camera on this other one here, and once they do, you can.
Well, that is. Do they have it on? Oh yes,
I don't know if they have it on.
not
but
yet.
Okay.
Why don't you describe what we're gonna see there?
We're going to see my mother-in-law
And my
Okay.
and my monkey Judy.
Okay.
And the person on the banana leaf is her father, who was born on a banana leaf when she was in the fields.
Okay.
And
We're still working at getting the camera on this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Uh huh.
So,
So
it's
that's your monkey. You have what was it?
Judy,
Oh, it's right, Judy.
Judy. Judy was the monkey's name. Okay.
and that was her father, who was born on a banana leaf while his mother was in the field, and she's peeling plantain, which is it's sort of a banana that you cook, and that's a sort of French word, food that they eat
Okay.
from that section of Cameroon. And these are the little chickens that run around in the village.
Wow.
So she's in the village.
Excellent. Well, listen.
And that's it.
I really, really appreciate you coming in. I know we talked on the phone a little bit,
Of course.
beforehand, and I'm very glad that Ivan kind of, hooked us up and everything
Well,
like
I'm
that.
very happy to be here.
Okay, and Ivan has a blog called Ideas of Work and Beyond, and he's
Yeah.
going to put all the contact information for you.
Yes.
Some of these exhibits, I know you have some stuff online.
Yes.
So you can go to the blog, Ideas of Work and Beyond. It's a pretty eclectic blog. I think they're going to roll it. But we'll have some contact information from you, too.
Okay.
That sounds wonderful.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Appreciate
for
you very
having us
much
here.
coming in.
Thank you.
And for Henry, who's out there, you know who you are, Henry. I think you did a good job. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with an interesting young man who's running for state senate, and I think he's our guy. So we'll be right back.
All right.